death, taxes, and Nicki Minaj versus Cardi B drama, some things never change. But this time, it's so personal that even their kids are involved. The real question is, how far will this go? 2025's biggest rap drama isn't just about music anymore. Nicki Minaj and Cardi B's feud has gotten so personal, families are now being dragged into it. Rap beefs are usually entertaining, but when kids and families get involved, it turns dark. And that's exactly where Nicki and Cardi's feud has landed. Cardi's new album didn't just hit #1, it reignited her ugliest clash yet with Nicki Minaj. And this time, it's gone way beyond music. People are saying this isn't just a rap beef anymore, it's a cultural moment. Nicki versus Cardi has shaken hip-hop to its core, and there may be no way back. Some things in life just never change. Death, taxes, and Nicki Minaj and Cardi B finding new reasons to clash. Their latest blow-up, caught in a viral video, shows the two rappers going at each other's throats once again. But this time, it's not just about music, it's gotten so personal that even their children are being dragged into the mess. And that's where things have turned truly disturbing. The spark that lit the fire. Late September 2025 will go down as one of the ugliest chapters in their decade-long rivalry. For years, Nicki Minaj and Cardi B's names have been tied together, with tension simmering just below the surface of hip-hop culture. The industry, the fans, and the media often fueled comparisons, but when Cardi dropped her long-awaited second album, Am I the Drama, on September 27th, the quiet rumblings finally exploded. The project itself was meant to be Cardi's big moment, a reminder that she was more than a one-album wonder. But instead of only celebrating the music, the conversation quickly shifted toward what felt like veiled shots at Nicki. Lines that fans dissected, snippets replayed, and interviews where Cardi dodged or smirked at questions all added gasoline to the fire. Almost overnight, social media lit up with debates, hashtags, and side-by-side lyric breakdowns, with both fan bases convinced the other side had crossed the line. Critics quickly weighed in. Outlets like Billboard, The Cut, and USA Today called the situation a prime example of how social media pushes artists to turn real-life grudges into performance. The feud wasn't just happening behind closed doors, it was being played out in real time for millions to watch, dissect, and share. What might have once been an underground rivalry was now a full-blown cultural event. The ripple effects reached far beyond Nicki and Cardi. Rising stars like Ice Spice, Latto, and JT suddenly found themselves pulled into the orbit of the feud, with fans pressuring them to choose sides. Some tried to remain neutral, while others dropped cryptic posts that only intensified the speculation. For younger female rappers trying to build their own brands, getting dragged into the drama was both a risk and an opportunity, one that highlighted just how much weight this feud carried in shaping the narrative of women in hip-hop. More importantly, the fight reignited a broader conversation about unity in female rap. For years, fans and critics alike had argued that women in the genre faced extra pressure to compete against one another rather than collaborate. And yet, just as women were finally dominating the charts, headlining major festivals, and filling radio rotations, this very public clash seemed to reinforce the old stereotype: there can only be one queen. Instead of celebrating a collective rise, the spectacle pushed the narrative back to rivalry and division. Speculation about what would happen next spread like wildfire. Fans weren't just tweeting, they were waiting. Would Cardi channel her anger into an official diss track, lacing her Bronx-born grit into bars aimed directly at Nicki? Would Nicki use Queen Radio as a weapon, unloading venomous freestyles that reminded everyone of her lyrical dominance? Some even feared the feud could spiral out of music entirely, especially after Cardi openly hinted at physical violence in her posts. The possibility of legal trouble suddenly didn't feel far-fetched. Yet, beneath all the chaos, there were glimpses of exhaustion. Cardi herself hinted she might be done when she wrote, "This my last time responding to you. You need therapy." Fans debated endlessly, was this her way of stepping back for good, or just a temporary truce before the next spark reignited it? Around the same time, Nicki quietly deleted some of her harshest tweets, signaling that even she realized the backlash was starting to outweigh the hype. What made this feud stand out wasn't clever wordplay or strategic marketing. It was how personal it became. The moment children and families were dragged into the mud, the energy shifted dramatically. What had once been messy entertainment turned into something darker, even unsettling. And yet, paradoxically, this raw ugliness is what cemented the feud's cultural footprint. The memes, the endless TikTok breakdowns, the YouTube explainers, and the trending hashtags all ensured this clash would be remembered, just like Jay-Z versus Nas in the early 2000s or Drake versus Meek Mill in the 2010s. By 2025, Nicki versus Cardi was no longer just a feud, it was a mirror. A mirror reflecting the toxic blend of ego, fandom, and digital spectacle that defines this era of hip-hop. It showed how quickly the internet could turn disagreements into worldwide entertainment, and how easily real people's lives could be swallowed up by the hunger for viral content. The story is still unfinished. Will Nicki use her 2026 album to address Cardi directly, giving fans the lyrical battle they've been waiting for? Will Cardi flip the backlash into energy for her next project, turning pain into power? Or will both step away, realizing the feud may have already pushed things to a dangerous point of no return? Whatever the outcome, one truth is undeniable. This rivalry has carved itself into the fabric of hip-hop history. It's bigger than two women trading insults. It's about the culture, the industry, and the pressures that made their collision almost inevitable. For some, it's tragic, for others, it's toxic, and for many, it's just gripping entertainment. But no matter how it's viewed, the eruption of Nicki Minaj and Cardi B's feud in 2025 will forever stand as one of the defining moments of rap in the social media age. The rollout was massive: discounted sales, viral TikTok challenges, non-stop fan interaction. The payoff? Cardi snagged 228,000 first-week units and a #1 spot on the Billboard 200. But instead of congratulations, she got ridicule. Nicki's response. On September 30th, Nicki took to X, formerly Twitter, with a flurry of now-deleted posts. Screenshots quickly spread online. Her tone was sharp, accusing Cardi of juicing her numbers with streaming farms and cheap pricing. She even called out Jay-Z and Roc Nation executive Desiree Perez, suggesting Cardi's entire career was being artificially boosted. The insults escalated. Nicki mocked the $4.99 album price, gave Cardi the nickname Barney Dangerous, and even posted a meme of Barney the dinosaur in a wig. The reference wasn't random, it was the same dig Nicki used back in 2018 after their infamous Fashion Week fight. She even doubled down by saying Cardi sounds like Barney when she raps. Cardi fires back. Cardi didn't stay quiet. Her replies painted Nicki as obsessed and bitter. In classic Cardi style, she mixed humor into the chaos, tweeting that she was baking ribs and blondie brownies when Nicki started bothering her on a Monday. Funny as it sounded, the tone of the feud was quickly turning darker. By the end of September 30th, Nicki's attacks crossed a line. She began targeting Cardi's family, mocking her daughter culture, throwing around drug accusations, and even dragging Cardi's partner, NFL star Stefon Diggs, into the mess with unverified rumors. The line no one wanted crossed. Fans were stunned. Hip-hop beefs usually thrive on wordplay, subliminals, and clever jabs. But kids and family? That was different. One YouTuber summed it up. This time, it just felt toxic. They brought the kids into it. It didn't feel entertaining anymore. Cardi takes it further. But Cardi wasn't about to back down. Her clapback was brutal. She posted a photoshopped mugshot of Nicki's brother Jelani Marriage, who's serving time for child rape, topped with one of Nicki's wigs. It was a sharp and painful counterpunch, signaling that if Nicki wanted to involve family, Cardi was ready to match her blow for blow. She didn't stop there. Cardi accused Nicki of drug abuse, claiming it had left permanent damage not only to her but to her child, Papa Bear. She alleged infertility, seizures, and more, deeply personal claims that dragged Nicki's marriage and private life into the spotlight. From rap beef to real pain. By October 1st, the feud had spiraled into something beyond music. Nicki continued mocking Cardi's looks and chart position, while Cardi hurled back insults like "cocaine Barbie" and accused Nicki of being a jealous, addicted, possessed mother. In one chilling post, Cardi wrote that she was ready to fight Nicki physically, even if it meant ending up behind bars. What started as another rap rivalry has now turned into something raw and unsettling, where family, trauma, and children are being weaponized. For fans who once enjoyed the spectacle of Cardi versus Nicki, the question now is simple. Has it finally gone too far? It wasn't just another diss. It was personal, sharp, and designed to cut deep. What made it sting even more was the timing. Much of the drama unfolded on Nicki Minaj's son's birthday. Cardi even pointed it out, reminding everyone, "It's your son's birthday, and here you are starting drama." The irony was hard to miss. While Papa Bear should have been blowing out candles, his mother was locked in a digital war where children themselves had become weapons. By the afternoon of October 1st, both rappers seemed to pause. Cardi ended one post with what sounded like final words, telling Nicki to seek therapy. Nicki, on her side, quietly deleted her harshest tweets. But by then, it didn't matter. Screenshots and reposts had already etched the feud permanently into the internet's memory. This wasn't just another rap beef. Fans and critics agreed. This was the ugliest chapter yet in a rivalry that's been simmering for years. To really understand why it hit so hard, you have to rewind almost a decade. Where it all began. The seeds of Nicki Minaj and Cardi B's feud weren't planted overnight. They were slowly fed by rumors, fan theories, and an industry that thrives on pitting women against each other. In 2017, Cardi B broke out with Bodak Yellow. It wasn't just a hit, it went #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, making her the first female rapper in nearly 20 years to top the chart solo. That success put her directly in Nicki's lane. Nicki had been the reigning queen of rap since her 2010 debut Pink Friday, with massive hits like Anaconda under her belt. At first, she congratulated Cardi. But fans noticed small cracks, like Nicki liking an Instagram comment that trashed Cardi's bars. Whispers started. Was Nicki feeling threatened? Motorsport and the first sparks. The tension turned into something real with Migos' 2017 hit Motorsport, which featured both women. Instead of showing unity, the song fueled rumors. They reportedly filmed their scenes separately, and interviews afterward only made things worse. Cardi implied Nicki changed her verse after hearing hers, something Nicki later said hurt her deeply. In a 2018 interview, Nicki admitted, "The only thing with Cardi that really hurt my feelings was that first interview she did after Motorsport. It made me look like I lied." Cardi downplayed it, saying she already had enough beef in the hood and didn't need more. But by then, the narrative was locked in, two powerful women being pushed into rivalry. The Fashion Week explosion. Everything boiled over at New York Fashion Week in September 2018. At a Harper's Bazaar party, Cardi reportedly threw a shoe at Nicki, furious over claims Nicki had liked posts questioning her as a mother. Cardi left with a visible bump on her forehead, which Nicki later mocked by comparing her to Barney the dinosaur. On Queen Radio, Nicki flipped the story, painting Cardi as the aggressor and accusing her of ghostwriters, payola, and being more image than substance. The sight of two global rap superstars fighting in gowns became one of the most infamous moments in pop culture. From that night on, the feud wasn't just gossip, it was personal. Fans split into two armies, the Barbs and the Bardi Gang. Commentators often look back at 2018 as the point of no return. The years that followed. Though there were short-lived truces, the hostility never really went away. By 2019, Cardi was celebrating her Grammy win for Invasion of Privacy, while Nicki leaned into Queen Radio, often throwing shade at rivals. In 2022, the feud sparked again when Nicki called Cardi an industry plant, tying her rise to Rock Nation. Cardi clapped back by reminding people of her hustle, stripping, reality TV, then making her way to #1 without anyone's help. By 2023, Nicki dropped Pink Friday 2, and fans were quick to point at subliminals aimed at Cardi. Lines about rivals falling off only fueled speculation. Why 2025 feels different. Feuds are nothing new in hip-hop. But in 2025, the attacks stopped being clever or lyrical and started targeting families, children, and trauma. That shift made fans uncomfortable. What was once entertaining drama had turned into something toxic. And with Nicki and Cardi both unwilling to step down, their decade-long rivalry has only deepened, leaving everyone to wonder, is there any way back from here? Cardi didn't call Nicki out by name, but her verse on Glorilla's Tomorrow 2 carried a clear message: rivals don't faze her. For the Bardi Gang, it was proof that Cardi could brush Nicki off without breaking a sweat. By this point, though, their feud had grown bigger than music. It had become cultural currency. Whenever one woman went viral, the other's name was pulled into the conversation like clockwork. And the Bardi Gang turned social media into a battleground. Memes flooded feeds, everything from Barney the dinosaur rapping to Cardi cooking while clapping back. But humor gave way to cruelty. Barbs resurfaced Cardi's old lawsuits and fan altercations. Bardi fans revived Nicki's brother's mugshot and Kenneth Petty's criminal record. What should have been playful banter collapsed into cyberbullying campaigns, spilling into real life. Even brands got caught up. When Cardi joked about baking while beefing, fans tagged DoorDash and Uber Eats, urging them to crown her queen of multitasking. On the flip side, Nicki's shots at Roc Nation sparked boycott calls against Jay-Z, linked streaming platforms. The bigger picture. Media outlets didn't treat it as just gossip, they framed it as cultural commentary. USA Today called it the ugliest Nicki vs. Cardi chapter yet. Billboard traced the feud's roots, while hip-hop blogs broke down every insult like it was a coded lyric. Talk shows and podcasts debated whether the feud revealed deeper truths. Women in rap being forced into rivalries, social media amplifying negativity, and the blurred line between entertainment and real harm. No winners, only scars. Fans argued endlessly about who won. Some said Nicki's initial shots proved she still owned the spotlight. Others argued Cardi's clapbacks, paired with her chart-topping album, gave her the upper hand. But the truth was neither walked away clean. This feud went further than the 2018 shoe-throwing incident. It wasn't just lyrics or shade, it was reputations, families, and trauma used as weapons. By October 2025, one thing was clear: the world wasn't just watching a rap beef. They were witnessing a cultural flashpoint, one that exposed the pressure, toxicity, and costs of being at the top of hip-hop in the social media age. And in the end, there were no victors, only two icons scarred by a battle that had gone too far. Critics from outlets like Billboard, The Cut, and USA Today saw the clash as proof of how social media pressures artists to turn drama into performance. But the effect went far beyond headlines. Rising stars like Ice Spice, Latto, and JT were suddenly pulled into the spotlight, with fans demanding they pick a side. The feud also reopened an old conversation about unity in female rap. Many felt that at a moment when women were finally leading the charts, headlining festivals, and dominating radio, there should have been more solidarity. Instead, the back-and-forth fed into the tired belief that only one woman could hold the crown. Speculation grew quickly. Would this spill into music? Fans imagined Cardi firing off gritty Bronx-style verses aimed at Nicki, while Nicki struck back with venom on Queen Radio or a sharp freestyle. Others even warned the feud could tip into legal territory, especially after Cardi's public threats of violence. Yet, there were also signs the storm might calm. Cardi hinted at stepping away when she posted, "This my last time responding to you. You need therapy." Some fans read it as a farewell to the beef. Others thought it was just a temporary break until things flared up again. Nicki deleting some of her harshest tweets suggested she too sensed the backlash was beginning to outweigh the attention. What made this moment unforgettable wasn't clever bars, it was how deeply personal things became. When children and families were dragged into the fight, the tone shifted from entertaining to unsettling. And still, that rawness guaranteed its place in hip-hop history. Memes, hashtags, TikTok breakdowns, and YouTube debates ensured the feud will be remembered alongside iconic rivalries like Jay-Z vs. Nas or Drake vs. Meek Mill. By 2025, Nicki vs. Cardi had become more than a rap battle. It reflected the mix of ego, fandom, and digital spectacle that defines music culture today. Looking ahead, questions remain. Will Nicki's 2026 album address Cardi directly? Will Cardi turn the controversy into fuel for her next project? Or will both step back, knowing the line between entertainment and destruction has already been crossed? No matter how it unfolds, this rivalry has written itself into hip-hop's legacy. It's bigger than two superstars. It's about the culture, the industry, and the pressures that made a clash like this almost inevitable. Whether fans see it as toxic, tragic, or just addictive drama, the 2025 eruption of Nicki Minaj and Cardi B's feud will stand as one of the defining rap moments of the social media era.